Welcome to Bread and Butter, everybody, the Hearthstone podcast where we serve the basics the average Hearthstone player needs for improvement. This is our first recording of 2023. We have a special guest today, Mattatarms. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so happy you could come on. It's been a long time coming. If you can say that about a show that's been going for now 11 episodes.
Yeah. Hey, I made it on before Hat. That's I consider that an honor that I made it onto a Hearthstone podcast as a guest before Hat did. Because
that is hard to do.
It is hard to do.
You know, you didn't beat Smarms.
No. Now we have two arms on the show.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, so I never put that together. So we have to send you to her.
Well, there was a mild Twitter beef I think that you tried to start between,
Yeah.
me and Smarms, where like who got control over the arms dealer card, and I'm like, no, the arms dealer card in the new set, which is a 1-mana 1/2 that gives your undead +1 attack. I believe it is. Don't quote me on that. Where who gets custody of the card? Well, it's like, we'll do shared custody. I get a week, she gets a week, I get a week, she gets a week. It works out. It's like my child.
Yeah, so. And there's never any drama with that, right?
Yeah. Not if you're an adult.
This is true. Well, as Doc said, this is 2023, and it's our first recording. So this is our first. Actually, it's our second recording, but it's our first official recording because we did the joint episode after the show match. Speaking of, so Smarms and Doc went head to head. Doc, you knew this had to be coming. Matt, what did you think of Doc's deck choices for the match?
I'll be completely honest. I only watched, I think, the final match. I was like busy.
No, that's the. No.
I was busy most of the day, and I finally got a chance to jump on. I think it was the final match, and I think the choices were fine. It's just Smarms got the edge, and it just worked out that way. At least from what I could gather from the final game. I couldn't tell you about the other game. Sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, Tito's poking fun that I brought Murloc Paladin. Or not Murloc Paladin, sorry, Murloc Shaman.
Hey, Murloc Shaman's fun. Murloc Shaman's good.
It's a lot of fun.
If you
and I got the matchup I wanted, I just didn't get the draw I wanted.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like in a conquest setting, sometimes you can bring things like Murloc Shaman to target things like Big Spell Mage and other slower things that can, like, you can sometimes win on turn 5 with Bloodlust, and they don't have a chance to even interact. So it works out. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. And this time it didn't, and it's fine.
Yeah, and Doc, I'm just giving you grief. I have been doing the smack talk as much as I could to promote the show, promote the Doc, but in the end, it's just a fun game. And actually, so that was a dress rehearsal for so we did a show match last week. For those that don't know, if you didn't listen to the last episode, and we set up Smarms versus Doc McButt, and mostly that happened because I have a match set up between Wicked Good and Sidisi TV. Wicked is a priest main. He's on the Coin Concede show. He's been on this show before. Sidisi is a hunter main. They're friends. They poke fun at each other a lot. They're in each other's streams. So I asked them if they wanted to do a friendly little rivalry grudge match between the two classes, and they said yes, and I promptly run away with that, and we did the practice match so we could work out some bugs. Dragon Rider is working with me to do all this, and that is January 22nd, I believe, a week from Sunday. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's January 22nd. So at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on my Twitch channel. Sorry for the plug early, but we want to get as many people there as we can. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, I think I had a point when I started that, but then I kind of went off track. So you know how that things are.
So with the new year comes like people wanting to do like resolutions and stuff, or like long-term goal setting. Do either of you have like a goal for this year, like a resolution you'd like to try to fulfill for the year?
Go ahead, Matt.
All right. So I'm not a big New Year's resolution guy. I tried them. It's just goals that are set to fail by February 1st. That's that. So I do what is called a yearly theme, where the theme is more like mindfulness. Like for me this year, the theme is more like mindfulness, consistency, and those are the two themes. And with that, I decide to so I throw in my Hearthstone life in there. My gameplay of Hearthstone, I try to be more mindful. I try to be more consistent. With that in mind, and then I somehow track that. That's either like am I getting to a consistent rank? Am I consistently having fun with the meta? Am I playing stuff I enjoy playing, or am I just playing because I want to have the rank be what I should think it should be? That's things you kind of track, and you kind of track that. You kind of write down your thoughts, and then at the end of 3 months, you take a look and see where you're at, and you see what you should do, or how should you improve, or are you on your theme? And that's my New Year's resolution, is to follow my theme. And
now, how has that gone for you in the past, though? Like, this sounds like something you've done many times. Have you successfully achieved your themes before, and how has that informed future themes?
Mainly, one of the things that's why one of the themes is consistency, because I need to stay consistent with the theme instead of emotionally allowing my emotions to get ahead of me and playing when I'm mad, playing when I'm not feeling great, playing when I'm not in a good headspace, and then like just hating the game after a couple of weeks. So that's where I'm at.
So are you the kind of person who likes friends to nudge them if they notice like you're not following that, or are you kind of the person that would rather just do it yourself and not get nudged? Just so like if I notice anything, I can be like, "Hey, Matt, buddy, like try to remember this," or whatever,
Somewhat. Sometimes depends on the mood.
Okay.
Depends on the day. How the day went.
Okay.
That day. that's part of the consistency. I have to be consistent level. And hey, if my friend is like, "Hey, you don't seem to be enjoying the game," I'm like, "You're probably right. I should take a break," and that's what happens. So. And I appreciate it. I do appreciate getting called out from time to time.
And sometimes, that's something you have to be careful about doing, though. I know we all have friends that stream Hearthstone and other games, and I know there's been a couple times where I've mentioned to somebody that I'm friends with that's streaming, like, "Hey, you seem like you're going off on tilt a little bit. Maybe take a couple minutes." And sometimes it's been like, "Yeah, you know what? You're right. Let's just sit back and talk." And sometimes it's being like, "Oh yeah, hey, thanks for pointing that out. Thanks, buddy."
Yeah.
So it depends on the person and the mood and all that, and you never know. But
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes.
It is hard to do that. But so Tito, what are your goals this year?
I have lots of goals, lots and lots of goals. But right now, my goal is to get through dry January, which I do every year. It's not that. It's not about not having the beer or whatever like that. It's just it's like hey, you can do this for a month, not a big deal. I just miss the enjoyment of the flavors that I have, and now I'm drinking a lot of water, and it's fine. But I also gave up Popeyes for the month because I had been eating a lot of Popeyes, and I love that chicken from Popeyes. But we're trying to eat a little better, and figured a month off the spicy chicken sandwich would do me all right. But as far as everything goes, I am working on my content creation. We have a big year planned. Obviously, we told you about the event that we have coming up. I'm kind of getting into a partnership with Dragon Rider that we're going to try to do some future events. We have, I'm on the hype team, and we're goals there. But my main goal is to have fun while I'm doing this stuff, not get myself burnt out, not overdo things, and still have fun. And I've been finding that I can find a good place, a good balance with all that, as long as I keep an eye on it. Because sometimes I just kind of tend to go overboard, and I want to bring that down. The other thing I want to do is I want to be a more consistent Hearthstone player in this space. I didn't make Legend last month, and that was very frustrating because everybody made Legend last month. I think I was the only person still left in Diamond 10 or Diamond 5 or whatever the hell I was. I think I made it to Diamond 1 or 2 and didn't make it. So it was frustrating because I feel like I am a good enough player at this point that I should be Legend every month, and nothing was just clicking for me. So this month I hit it much earlier, and I hit it like day 5 or 6 or something like that, and I just, okay, that's done. That there's an anxiety about that for me because I put on myself. It is purely self-created. I acknowledge that, but it was just good to have it done. I want to make it so that way I'm not getting to the end of the month where I'm not hitting that. I want to hit that mark early and continue to make that like not really the goal. The goal is to improve as a player and to climb those ranks versus to get to those ranks. So that's kind of part of my goal there, and that means just improving my gameplay in general, and that's what I've been working on. How about you, Mr. Doc?
Yeah, so one of my big things was I wanted a better work-life balance. So I have pursued that. Don't work at the bakery anymore. I have a new job coming up starting on Tuesday. I actually get to be home and not work 160-hour pay periods anymore. But like a big goal that I want to do is I want to hit Legend at least once this year. Because I've never been Legend. There was a minute where I was like making it in Diamond like every 2 months or something like that, and I've been like a hardcore like mid plat player recently. But like I want to hit Legend. That's like my big like game goal. As far as like life goals, like it's just trying to get better at like budgeting and being able to spend like quality time when I can. Because like my brother after school, he's gonna move to California and pursue his career in Hollywood, and I'm not gonna move to California. So I just have a couple months left of my brother being like easily available. So just being able to like visit him when I'm able to is kind of one of my goals this year too.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember you just giving you a little grief earlier this month. I'm not sure if it was the end of the last month or earlier this month. I think it was earlier this month, where you were making a switch to, of all things, Miracle Rogue, which is a very difficult deck to play. And it's like, well, what were you playing before that? I was playing Shockspitter Hunter. Oh, great, Doc. That's a good deck. How were you doing? You having a problem with it? No, I'm playing at 65% or so. I was like, well, if you're playing a deck at 65% and you're climbing and your goal is to make Legend, you know what you should do? Stick with that deck and not switch to like one of the hardest decks to play in the game. I mean, you want to find the fun. I understand, and you wanted to make a change, but it's conflicting with your goals.
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of have addressed this in life outside of Hearthstone. So, Matt, what has been going on in your life outside of Hearthstone, and what have you been doing in Hearthstone?
Sure. So outside of Hearthstone, I'm working a lot. Have a major project starting to ramp up after the holiday break. So spending a lot of time doing that. Other than that, in my free time when I have it, I have taken up the mantle of making bread. I have a sourdough starter in my fridge, which I need to feed tomorrow. Thank you for reminding me. And that with feeding the sourdough starter means more bread tomorrow, which is always good. Outside of that, I'm playing a bunch of Marvel Snap right now. Snap has hit me in a place in the last couple weeks that it's like perfect, where it's like, I can play until my quests are done, and then I can put it away, and then progress a little bit, get a couple more cards for the week, start playing with those once I get more quests, and just the cycle is fun. The gameplay is quick. It's hitting me in the right spot right now. Outside of that, picked up Assassin's Creed Odyssey again, because I picked up Elden Ring when it was on sale, and Elden Ring was kicking my butt, so I wanted to play something not as punishing. So that's what that is. A little bit of Hearthstone, playing some Hearthstone here and there. I got up to Diamond 5 this month. Just playing just a little kind of a mix of Pure Blood Paladin, Miracle Rogue, and Shock Spitter Hunter. I did get to Legend at the last day of last day of December with Miracle Rogue with like a 15-4 record right at the end of the got there at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, all right, now I can go to bed early and not worry about New Year's because I'm a 42-year-old man and that's what I do. But not so having as much success with Miracle Rogue now. Maybe because I'm taking the meta in chunks. This meta is really difficult to play. The decks are extremely difficult to pilot, and the matchups are they're hard. The matchups are hard. So I'm playing Hearthstone in chunks where I'm just doing like 2-3 day breaks in between. I'm enjoying the meta. It's challenging and my brain isn't in a space that I can focus that hard on the matchups. If that makes any sense. So, I'll get the dailies done, I'll get the weeklies done, but I won't and then I'll climb up to where my I'll probably hit Legend by the end of the month. I'm not pushing it. If I don't get Legend, I don't get Legend. It's fine. So.
Yeah, I used to say that too, and then it feels bad at that 9 stars.
Actually, I do better at 9 stars than I do 10 stars, which is funny. I actually feels like the climb is easier when I'm at 9 stars than 10 stars, which is probably the case. I don't know. Anyway.
How about your self-talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I'm going to be working at a local credit union. Going to be a teller and loan officer there. I start my training on the 17th. I beat God of War 2018 this morning, and that is a magnificent game. I don't know if I'll platinum it like Hat and Wicked Good, but I'll definitely go back and like fight the Valkyries and stuff and play it a little bit more. I did hit Silver 4 in TFT because I've been playing TFT a lot the last 3 days. I've also been playing a lot of this WoW expansion. I did like half of the heroic raid on Tuesday, and I'm at item level 386 now. And then in Hearthstone, I've been playing, but I just can't, I'm losing more than I'm winning, it feels like, with Hunter right now. Because I started off in around 60 games, I had like a 67-65% win rate. But now I'm 91 games into Spitter Hunter, and I have a 59.3% win rate, which is lower than the average. So that feels bad. But this is the most I've played a single deck in a month. And then I'm like 99.9% positive this is the most I played Hearthstone in a month since at least Ashes. It might even be before that. So playing a lot more, but it was fun for a really long time. But then Spitter Hunter, I was doing good with it, it just wasn't fun anymore. And so tried 2 games of Miracle Rogue, and they both went poorly. And none of the other decks that I play feel super fun. So I just keep playing Spitter Hunter and go 1-3 or 1-4 or 3-5 on the day, it feels like. And I'm hard stuck in Plat 9. I can't get past that. Tito, how about you?
Yeah, I'm just looking at my stats on I went 75-56 with that deck this month. Played a lot of it. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. So for me this month, we already talked about most of what I did. I'm playing Hades. I am playing Hades as much as possible. Now, I'm told that most people beat the game between 50 and 30. Was it between around 30 to 50? I'm on 77 right now, and I still haven't beaten it, and I'm okay with that. I have Boomer APM. I'm playing on PC, which, from what I understand, is a little more challenging at times. And I got to the end, and I thought, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I thought I got to the end, and I sat back, and I said, all right, now let's just see what they talk about. And then it wasn't the end. So I was like, all right, whoops.
That's always an experience when that first gotcha happens right at the end.
Yep. So I was like, oh well, and I think my problems, it was taking me so long is I wasn't really concentrating on doing the boons properly. I had been like focusing like one chunk. I'm like, oh, my special is really strong and I can keep augmenting it, and that's good. But if you don't bring the other things along with you, that's problematic. And I did that late, but originally I was just streaming it on Monday nights, and that was my Hades experience. And then this week that dam broke, and I am playing it pretty much whenever I'm at my computer, and I am just trying to get over it. And so the weird thing for me is, over the years I have mostly played Warcraft. I run a guild we talked about. Doc even got to raid with me a couple weeks ago, and hopefully more in the future. But I that takes up. I usually no life WoW. Most of it. That's the game I play most, and then Hearthstone. And we've talked about this before, so I don't want to go back into it all. But like, I never really, besides that and Civ, which I play on Friday nights with my friend, and whatever. By the way, Civ 6 right now, if you don't have it, I believe it's still on sale for like $6 in Steam, which is 90% off. 90% off is good. So if you ever were like, I don't want to spend the money on Civ, but I want to play it, go get it right now. It's worth it. It's a fun game. But I usually limit myself to those games because those games all never end. And I always feel like if I'm playing something else, I think the last thing I really played through was like Skyrim. And if I'm playing something else, I'm not doing my dailies, I'm not doing these things, which I like doing. I'm not complaining, but I have not been playing a ton of WoW. I'm raiding and doing like some weeklies, but that's about it. It's going to be interesting going forward because I'm already thinking about what's the game I'm going to play after Hades, and augmenting something in, and maybe I think I'm catching up on all the games that the podcast I listen to talk about, so I'll probably do Inscription next, and then there's a whole wealth there. So it's an interesting change for me, but I'm going to drive forward with that.
Let me tell you, you're not done with Hades until you'll know you're done with Hades.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. You're in good company because I took me to run 77 to do my first clear, and I at that it run right around 75 is when I'm like, okay, I'm turning on God mode. I just want to get to the end, and then I turned it off like after my third or fourth clear. After that point, so
maybe I've debated doing that. Like, part of me is a little stubborn to not do that, but I might just do that. I don't know. We'll see. Because
I started my Hades experience with God mode turned on, but I also only play Hades on like the Razer like half keyboard game thing with like the like pointer on the side and just like all the like keys. That's the only way I can play Hades for whatever reason. And it's just like some random piece of hardware that I got from an old coworker of mine. He's like, hey, like, I have this, but I've never used it. Like, you play games a lot. Here you go. I was like, okay, sick. And so, like, I threw it on to try to, like, use it. And I was like, oh. And then it was just really good for Hades. And so that's the only thing I can play Hades on.
It's a good game. It's a very good game.
Yeah, it's a great game. So, Matt... you're a host of Squelch, but that's not all of your podcast history.
Yeah.
Do you want to dive in on that a little bit?
Sure. So, previous to Squelch, I was on a show called Hero Power. Hero Power was myself, Avantes, Zeroshio, and for a while, and I replaced Versico on that show. I was on that show for a good year or so before I had to before my work stuff changed and I couldn't do the show anymore. It was a fun show. It was, if you weren't familiar with Hero Power, it was a news show where we covered the news, we covered all the, everything going on in Hearthstone, and then we talked about a deck. And we just brought on a deck to the show, we talked about it, we talked about Mulligan guys, general play pattern, stuff like that. And then in the second half of the show, we would play the deck live on stream or live on the show and, do three games, see how it went. And it was a great format. It was something that is like, I kind of miss the format. I kind of miss talking about news every once in a while, but also I kind of miss talking about decks. But it's one of those. It's in an audio medium. It's difficult. I mean, Blister Guy does a great job doing it, but but it was a good show. That show ended right at episode 300. I was on for that episode, which is good. It was kind of bittersweet for that show to end. Previous to that was a show.
Hold on, but before you go on that,
yeah,
why did you So you must have hated that show because you went and now on Squelch you do the exact opposite of all those things. You don't talk about Hearthstone news. You don't talk about decks. So you went the complete opposite direction.
Well, here's what happened with Squelch. Squelch. Dan initially came to me for Squelch. It was supposed to be a news show, 30 minutes, talk about the news, talk about the meta, talk about everything. We realized, or Dan realized quickly, that there's other shows that do that very well. Like Coin Concede, Dr. 3, whoever else, whatever other, Angry Chicken, yes. The Hearthstone podcast. It's one of those things where, and it's just we just end up realize that if we just talk about having fun in Hearthstone, which is what the show is, the show was born from Angry Chickens. Remember Dills from Angry Chicken? He had a patron Slack that all of us were in, and that show was built out of that show. Or out of that whole group, that was just our little circle of friends, 4 or 5 people. And then we just made a podcast out of it. And that's basically all our discussions was sometimes we talked about Hearthstone. A lot of times we talk about other stuff. There's a lot of food, obviously. It's a very food-focused show, which, I'm glad that there's another food-focused show in the group now. So that's where Squelch came from. And we're not going to compete with the likes of Coin Concede. We're the show that you listen to after you listen to Coin Concede. So we want to be the second or third Hearthstone podcast you listen to every week, if that makes any sense. That's and we decided to be very clean, which separated us from the other non-Hearthstone comedy show that is on the out there currently. So that's where Squelch was born. Previous to that, it was Hero Power. It was a news show. Talk about the meta. Talk about decks. Talking about creating decks. It was a good show. And previous to that, it was almost embarrassing to talk about. It was a show that I don't think anybody listened to. I did a 10-minute segment called The Target Dummy, where I would just record 10 minutes talking about a solo 10-minute thing, talking about the meta, talking about decks, talking about strategies. 1 month I'm going to try do a report every week on how I'm going to hit Legend, because I haven't hit Legend yet at that point. It was a fun little segment. Did little mini card reviews. I don't think anybody listened to that show. I don't even have the audio for that stuff anymore. But that was my entry into podcasting, and then after that it was joining communities and being parts of communities. So that's where I come from.
Last year, you got a tattoo.
I did. No.
And it's a Hearthstone tattoo.
It is. So yeah, I decided for my 42nd birthday, I decided to get a tattoo. It was in the beginning of July, and I was like, yeah, why not? So what I got the Warlock Hero Power, the whole thing, the 2 mana with the little gold things with the 2 mana thing and the art right there, tattooed right here on right above my heart. And yes,
heck yeah,
I now have Life Tap branded to me, so I try not to touch it too often because it kills me.
Yeah, it's literally a lifetime.
It is. So
you're gonna be on your deathbed, and your doctor's gonna be checking you. No, don't touch that.
Don't touch that. No,
I'm almost out.
I was I'm almost out of life. I don't want to tap out. So yeah, that's the. So yeah, if they cemented me as a Warlock main, because it's my favorite class. I was corrupted early because my first legendary I opened was a Golden Jiraxis, and it's so it's well, there we go. That's what I am now. I'm a warlock main. And
I was going to suggest that your next tattoo be a gigantic back tattoo of Jiraxis.
It's don't tempt me.
So I have never got a tattoo on my chest before.
Right.
And I have a couple. How did it feel getting a tattoo on your chest?
It wasn't bad. There was little to no pain. It was like there was like it's like your typical tattoo pain, but it wasn't like. I'm also thicker than most people than you, Doc. So there's a lot more padding to deal with there. But no, it wasn't bad. It felt like, and after it was done, it felt like a sunburn after like an hour, you know. So it wasn't too bad. It's holding up real. It's holding up real nice, and you know, I took good care of it for the first month. So it looks good.
Awesome. So what is something about yourself that maybe not many people in the Hearthstone scene know that you're willing to share?
Sure. So I think everybody knows I'm a big F1 fan. Like I did a 3-hour podcast with Schwal and Steven Sensei about it.
I skipped that one, sorry.
No, it's fine. I didn't expect a whole lot of people to listen to that. That podcast was for me, Schwal, and Steven Sensei, and whoever else wanted to listen is fine. No, I honestly, and I think I've said this one time, one other place, might have been on Blizzlet, but I'm a big history nerd. I love history. I love just going like history podcasts. I consume them like anything. History documentaries I watch all the time. My son's big into history, which is great because we can geek out about that stuff. He's reading a book about World War I right now. So I'm kind of big into that. I'm also big into architectural design. I'm a civil engineer by trade, but I still love like architectural design, architectural history. It falls into the history as well, where it's like seeing how skyscrapers came from these beautiful, like, you know, perfect examples. Like I think I retweeted this recently, where it's like how skyscrapers became these gorgeous deco buildings into these glass boxes that they are now, and how that whole process happened, and like all the influences and on architecture design and materials at the time, and it's fascinating. I love that stuff.
I just saw that they figured out how the buildings from Rome were withstanding the test of time.
Oh yeah,
concrete.
Yep, like
and it was like the lime that they used was different. And they originally, when they made concrete, I think they removed it because they thought it was an impurity, but it's actually what's been keeping it.
Yeah, it's the quicklime in the old Roman concrete, which was believed to be an impurity, was actually something that helped reinforce it when it would break due to, you know, weather and water. You know, the water would seep in, and the quicklime would activate the concrete a little more and seal it up. And it's amazing to like that we're going back in time. We're going back to seeing like these old techniques that have long been forgotten, that we've replicated pretty well, but it's still not there yet. And we're getting back to that kind of level that we were 2,000 years ago, which is crazy.
And this has been your History Minute here on Bread and Butter.
Yep.
Do you have a particular history that you're interested in? Like, is there a particular, or is it just anything?
Anything. Like,
okay.
Like I said, architectural design history. One of my favorite podcasts ever is, and I suggest anyone listens to it who's anything remotely doing anything in design work or anything in consumer-facing, like, product design at all. It's called 99% Invisible. They do a lot of stuff on like kind of like everyday objects or everyday things that you don't even like would probably pay attention to in your real life, but how time and everything and has influenced the design of everything, which is great. So yeah.
Awesome. So Matt, you love Warlock.
Yep.
What would be a change you would make in the meta right now to make Warlock a little bit more viable than it is?
I think Imp and Curse are fine. Imp and Curse are fine decks right now. They're not tier 1. They're probably in tier 2 somewhere, like in the middle tier 2. I don't pay that close attention to Vicious Syndicate, you know, what they're saying.
They're not played a lot right now, though.
Yeah, they're underplayed. They're underplayed because they're less meta's decks. But you can still play those last meta decks and do fine and get up and climb the ladder and surprise people. Actually, I think regular Imp is better than Curse at the moment. But as for like the current package that it's within Warlock now, honestly, I don't think it's that far off. There's maybe one or two changes I would make, and I think the main change I would make would be to make that 5/3 slime a 4-mana card, and maybe like shave an attack off it, make it a shredder. I think that would do a lot to make the undead warlock archetype a lot better. So you can cheat it out. So you can coin it on 3 and cheat out like Darkon Drakthir or any of your other big stuff a lot easier. I mean, it turns into Barnes at that point, but then again, you have to activate it. You're not sure you're going to get the double death rattle off on the next turn because it's a 3-mana. It has only 3 health. It might die. So I don't know. I don't think there's not much that it needs to do. And anytime you try to like tool with Warlock to make it better, well, you're going to break Wild somehow because that's what happens with Warlock. You just like every set it has to break Wild at least once, otherwise it's not a real class. So
I mean, it's not like they don't need to have some sort of format that is between Wild and Standard that can better handle these things.
I'm an advocate for the Diet Wild format. Yes. I'm not sure where the line is drawn there. It's probably Ashes, but yeah, I'd like to see I'd play a bunch of like a time walking format. I play Classic still, so.
So since we're talking about other formats real quick, I have always been in favor of there being another button, like maybe get rid of Tavern Brawl, because I don't know, but a rotating block set of different Hearthstone expansions and just have it be there for like a month or two so that you can get in, play this old meta, and then rotate it, change it out, and then you don't have to worry about making it new and exciting all the time because the people that want to play the meta will go in and play that meta and then be done with it, and then you can move on to the next one.
Yeah, I think that'd be
That's
fun
something
too.
I've wanted in Hearthstone for a long time.
I think that'd be fun if they like pick just periods of time, not necessarily linearly, because that would be too predictable or whatever, and people would like have the expectation of, oh, it's going to be this one next, or I hate this one. But if like they like this is the obviously they won't pick what was the Boonsday event. They're not going to pick that meta.
Dooms in the Tombs.
Yeah.
Dooms in the Tombs. Yeah, they're not going to pick that. But you could pick like, hey, this meta and that meta, and you could just kind of bring it back in its current form, and go from there.
I think that'd be fun. I think that's as much as I enjoy the fact that Classic exists. I think that's the thing that's going to happen with Classic at some point, where it's just going to be your time, like a literal time walking format. Where like this month we're at GVG, next month we'll be at like Gadget Sand or something. I don't know. We'll see. Or just like throw sets together that never were like interacted with each other.
Yes.
And just like because they do that every once in a while in the Tavern Brawl, where there's a brawl block format, and those are usually the brawls that I play the most. Which is like, like here's 3 sets, build decks, let's go.
Well, they do that in the in Arena. They mix those up and they kind of do that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they, yeah.
Casual Arena, please. That's all I'm asking.
Hey, yes.
Like just so I can draft and not risk my gold. So.
I mean, you're a whale, right?
I am, which is sad. Yes, I have plenty of gold. I had plenty of gold left over from opening all my cards, and I'm like, it's like, I'd like to play Arena without posting an entry fee.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right, Doc. I think it's time to get to the main course. So, right now, our main subject tonight is finding the fun. We are hitting the stage of the meta right now where things are kind of settled into particular play patterns. Some people love these play patterns. Some people do not love these play patterns. This is true for just about, for every meta there is. Regardless of the state it is, there's going to be people that love it and there's going to be people that don't love it. And when you are one of those people in the don't love it phase, how do you find the fun? And that's what we're here to talk about. So, first off, if you're not having fun, taking a break from the game is fine. You can just step away and say, you know what? I'm not finding, like Matt was just saying, he's just doing his dailies and whatever. You don't even have to do that. Unless your goal is I'm free to play or I'm very minimal investment to play and I want to get those because I want to continue to build my collection. They're just dailies. They'll come back. They'll be there when you come back. You do not have to log in if it's not fun for you. If you don't like it, just play other games or don't play games. Read a book. It's fine. Watch some TV. Listen to a history podcast. I mean, whatever. So that first and foremost is the thing to do. Now, you may not be having fun, but you still want to log into Hearthstone. That is a thing that happens to a lot of us. So, there are other modes in Hearthstone. You do not just have to play standard. And I know you may not have all the cards in Wild, but you can find some decks. There are decks out there that are cheap and easy to make, and you can make your own. Wild is exactly what it says. Wild. There's plenty of things to do. There's duels. Duels is a lot of fun. I definitely don't play as much duels as I probably would like, but every time I go in, I have a blast. I used to love the dungeon runs they did. Duels is just dungeon runs with PvP, something we wanted for a long time. They've broken down the barriers, so you no longer have to unlock everything, which was kind of the biggest barrier, and I thought one of the biggest mistakes. I think that was marketing. That was like, well, we can make more money if people have to go buy things to make these cards and all that, but it was never going to happen. You know, you want people in the game and using it, and then so they finally did that. They broke down those barriers. You only need 15 cards for a deck. So even if you find a deck you want and you don't have the cards, it's pretty easy to craft a couple cards. Not that big of a deal.
And you only need one of each, which is even better.
And you only need one of each. And it's again, it's a fun mode. We had Chalker talk about duels. If you go back and listen to that episode, it was, I think, a fantastic listen. It was very insightful. And you heard, if you listen to that episode, he was saying things that made no sense to me. But if you watch, the combinations of things and the hero powers and all that, it is Hearthstone, but it's an entirely different game. So if you want to scratch that itch and you just want to play something different, duels is definitely the way to go. When you're talking about Arena is the limited format we have. It's not perfect, but it's fun. Get in there. I mean, obviously, like Matt said, there's no casual Arena yet. So it costs 100 gold, but you usually can get some of that back and you get a pack. So just think of it as you're buying a pack, kind of. I have fun. Don't do it that often, but whenever I'm kind of on a little bit tilty, maybe I like drafting the deck and then seeing where I go from there, because that's the best. That's the funnest part, right? Is drafting and figuring out what you're going to build and saying, oh well, look, I want to take this early because I'm definitely going to get dragons, and then you don't get dragons, and you have like a dragon synergy card that's not good, but those are fun. What other things do you think we can do? Battlegrounds, like a big Battleground patch coming out. Battlegrounds is, I don't know, does anyone not like Battlegrounds? It seems like anyone that starts playing Battlegrounds starts, like look at Eve from Blizzlet. She was never playing Battlegrounds. She went in to try it for a quest or something like that, and now she says she's playing that mode more than standard at the moment.
Yeah, I actually played a bunch of Battlegrounds right as the quest jumped in, and I really enjoyed it. I got to I think I got to around like 4,500 MMR, which is, you know, highest I've been in that mode I think ever, which is nice. Like when the meta's not fun and I have time to play Hearthstone, I play that, and I play duels. Duels will always be fun. There's something about duels that I find and endures like absolutely compelling. And like you want to play, like it's the one time where I think other Death Knight archetypes are actually good. I think there's actually a pretty decent unholy Death Knight, unlike in Standard where there's no good unholy Death Knight. Which I'm an unholy. I like the unholy Death Knight cards. It's, and you can do completely different things that are not Standard. Play with cards that you don't get to play with on the regular, and It's a fun format, and yeah, Arena is actually really good if you want to work on your fundamentals, work on trading, work on playing around certain removal that may or may not be in their hand, and realizing, do I go all in here and get wrecked by a flame strike, or do I hold back and make their flame strike really bad? So it's just that's part of the game plan and part of the fun in Arena. I don't. You can also try to play mercenaries. I wouldn't suggest it unless you're really into that kind of gameplay. It's I got deep into mercenaries when I first started because I think standard was like the worst it's ever been at that point. It was bad. I remember standard not being a lot of fun at that point, and I got into mercenaries, and I got into mercenaries hard right at the start, and then I realized I wasn't having fun, and I stopped playing it. I don't know. It's a mode. Try it out. If you haven't played it yet, try it out. See if you like it. If you don't like it, there's a bunch of other buttons you can press. Like even Tavern Brawl. Tavern Brawl sometimes is a lot of fun, especially when they do either brawl blocks or things even I go in and I play Randomonium whenever it pops in because it's turn off your brain, finish your quest, play green card, go. That's Randomonium, and it's fun. So.
And every week you get a free pack.
Yep.
And it's a standard pack.
Yep.
So if you are looking to build your collection, it's a free pack. It's fun. Like Matt said, it does your quests. And if you have the full collection, if you're a whale like some of us,
Yep. Just collect
you
those
just
packs and
hold on to them.
Yep.
Because the next expansion, those are standard packs. And if you have everything else in standard, those become new packs because you don't have them.
Because you're a whale.
So, because you're a whale. Whale noises. Okay. Doc, how about you? What are your thoughts on the other modes before we move on to what else we can do?
So the other mode that I play a lot of, especially when I'm not having fun in standard, is BGs. I really like BGs. I'm not super great. I think the highest I've ever been was like 6,200, and then reset happened, and then now I can't get past like 5,700, and so now I'm just stuck at 55 because I just lose really hard, and then I win, and then I lose really hard. But yeah, BGs are super fun. Quests was like the perfect revamp for BGs. But it's just finding something that kind of speaks to you a little bit more than the other, and you just kind of stick with it until it doesn't speak to you, and then hopefully the other thing speaks to you again.
In Quest, exactly. When I liked buddies, I know not everybody did. They were a little too linear. But I think they looked at what buddies were and say, how do we do this better? Like, what do we do? And Quest was like the result of that. And instead of having it so each person got the same thing every time, it was like, what if somebody got something different every time? And that's what I kind of was hoping with buddies when we heard about him. It was going to be like, hey, you pick your hero and then you pick a buddy. Like, the second thing was like, hey, I get to pick a synergy buddy. But they made it so synergistic that I don't think it really kind of evened out after a while, but quests are still fun. I mean, quests, you still do the same random things. They're different, and it's like, well, what quest do I have? And half the time I end up going against my quest. It's like, well, I'm getting 2 Murlocs every turn, but I went dragon, so I guess, well, screw me. But it's fun.
Yeah, I try not to do like the synergy quest or like buy death rattles because I know Bob, whoever my bartender is at this whenever I decide to fire up Battlegrounds, I know that they're not going to offer me any death rattles or any Murlocs or anything that completes my quest if I do a tribal quest like that. That's why I tried like do damage. Okay, I can do that. Buy minions. Yeah, that's what I'm doing anyway. That's what I should be doing anyway. Sell minions. Okay, lose twice. Well, I'm good at that. So, I'm kind of curious to see how Battlegrounds will feel with the update coming up this week, or this next week, where they are going to drop the quest and there's going to be a whole new tribe to play with, and the whole minion pool's changing. I might jump in, between standard.
I'm really excited for that too.
Yeah.
Okay, but now that we talked about those Hearthstone modes, where I end up when I'm not happy with the meta, which honestly I'm almost always happy with the meta. Like even if it's, except for when Quest Mage pushed me over the top that one time, I usually can find the fun. I can find something. I have wild decks. Like if I'm not having fun at all, I'll go into wild and I will play like Sunkeeper Ra or Scam Rogue or something that I feel pretty good and comfortable with that people aren't going to see coming. So I like that. But like I'm always happy with the standard meta, even if it's a struggle. I never feel like, well, this meta sucks. Like there's so much discourse, but
Well,
but now, go ahead.
no, like if you're in standard and you're playing against, and you're really sick of facing rogue, and you're like, okay, rogue is overpowered. They need to completely nerf rogue. Know what I suggest? Play rogue. Play the deck. Play the deck that is beating you constantly. If it's beating you, you need to play it. If you can build it, and play it, build it and play it, so you can figure out how that deck loses, because you will find out. If you're not sure how that deck wins or how that deck loses, you'll figure it out pretty quick. You also figure out how the deck wins and how you can play, or maybe start playing around that, if at all possible. It's kind of hard with rogue because it can be solitaire sometimes. But I think, play the deck. If you can, play the deck. If you can't, watch streams about somebody playing the deck and seeing how they do and seeing, how they lose games. Because, the people they're playing, especially the people who are at the high level, that they are playing the deck they are playing against a lot of other highlighted people that know how to beat the deck. So that's my suggestion, at least.
I mean, I think we've said that a few times on the show too. Is like if you're struggling to beat a deck, if you play it, you will understand how you win and you will understand how you lose.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you understand how you lose, you can figure out the best way to beat that deck.
Exactly.
It's very sick.
It's helpful when you have a full collection. For that. But actually, Hearthstone is very free to play, friendly now. You could get into Snap where it's like there's some cards I still don't have that I need to have, and there's no good way to buy them. There's absolutely no good way to buy those cards. So. Yeah,
no. I still have cards on this. Like I'm playing a Hella deck minus Hella, so. But it's still fun.
So it's a Ghost Rider deck then.
It's a Ghost Rider deck, but I also have Helicarrier, so
okay, that's
I'm
fun.
having fun with that.
That is fun. I enjoy Helicarrier. It's a very fun card.
Yeah. But yeah, so you can either start playing the meta decks that are beating you, that are frustrating you, because then you can perform the same evil that is being done to you. You can find the counters to it, because most of the time there is at least one hard counter for it. That hard counter will lose likely to every other deck in the meta. However, it will feel really satisfying when you beat the deck that was kicking your butt over and over again. When you start beating it over and over again, that's kind of a fun feeling. So it can it might not help you climb, but it's fun to do that. You can also build your own deck. Like we've had a few episodes. We've had a couple episodes of Edelweiss talking about deck building. Coin Conceit had a great episode with Funky Monkey this week about deck building. I mean, like, if you want to find the fun, build something.
Yeah.
And know that it's not going to be good right off the bat. But when you build something from scratch, or even augment something, and you have success with it, or whatever, it can be a lot of fun. It can be very rewarding, even if like the overall numbers aren't there.
Yeah.
The wins you get are fun. So
and
there's plenty of things you can do. Go ahead.
And if we're that concerned about your rank, if you're building decks and playing fun stuff that is absolutely off the wall, like completely, non-meta or even a meme, the casual mode button exists. Like, you don't have to care about your rank. You don't have to care about winning or losing. If you're like facing a deck you absolutely hate, you can scoop, and you lose nothing because it's casual. It doesn't matter, and I think you still get progress toward your quests, because unless it's the win 5 ranked games. But anyway, it's yeah. Casual mode's fun. Casual mode is you don't care. You're building something fun. You're building something silly, and if it's good enough in casual mode, try it on a ladder. See it happen. See what happens. So
Yeah, I don't like going to casual mode because personally because I always want what I'm doing to count, and it feels like I'm wasting. I hear what you're saying, but always feel like I'm wasting cycles. That's what I use ranked floors for. Like if I hit a wall, I wait till I get to the ranked floor, then I'll start. All right, you know what? We're just gonna run this weird concoction that I've created, or I really want to play the Cthulhu Rogue that was going around a while ago. Like, whatever it might be, that's where I do the ranked floors. But casual mode, you go into casual mode, for me, every time I go in, it's still meta decks.
oh yeah,
So I was like, all right.
you'll still face meta decks, but it doesn't matter. It matters a little bit. There's some sort of hidden MR, but like in the long run, it doesn't matter. And yeah, you won't get progress towards your class portraits if that's what you're wanting to do. But it's I recommend casual, especially if you've had too much to drink, too much to imbibe. It's a good place to be when you just want to have fun with the game. So.
How about you, Doc? You're in that spot right now where you're starting to have a little less fun with the meta, but you still want to climb. So where do you think you can find the fun? If you can still hear us, it looks like you're having some problems with your headphones.
Yeah, I had to plug my headset in because it died. So what was your question, Tito?
The question is, you're in that state right now where you're starting to not have fun with the current meta, it sounds like, but you still want to climb. So how do you think you can find the fun?
So I'm just trying to play the deck a little bit differently. Like that is definitely affecting my win rate, but I'm like trying to find different ways to get lethal with Shockspitter Hunter without using Shockspitters or Bran. Like I had a game the other day, I forget what class I was playing against, but I went Bran, double 2-drop Astalor, got 2 5-drop Astalors, and it was just I had never done that before with Hunter, and so it was just fun to have this completely different avenue of play open up and take it, and it was the right choice, and it was like a 1 in a million kind of like choice where like yeah, that was gonna like that helped me live, and then that helped me have lethal with I only played 1, so 8 because I didn't even play it on 10, only 8 ping damage because they conceded because they knew the second one was coming the next turn. But just trying to find different niche like play patterns within Hunter, because like I can play other stuff, but I don't understand how to play other stuff right now. So I'm just trying to stick with Hunter.
And if you're trying to climb, that's the best way to go.
Yes.
Not like there's decks you can play that are like more linear, more, but you want to keep with the deck. You want to dance with the one that you brought, especially when you're trying to like push rank, push numbers. Because like and I hear this question all the time. It's like, oh, I got rank 5. What do I play to legend? I'm like, what got you there? Because that's the deck That's the deck you're going to do best with. There's nothing at rank 5 that is that much more OP than everything else that's at rank 5. So play that.
Yeah, I agree. Except that when I got to Legend, I went 4 and 8 with Shockspitter Hunter before. I said maybe I should try something different.
Well,
right now.
I mean, yeah. There's also like playing around with a bunch of stuff at ranked floor. That's what happened with me. I was playing like that's what happened with me last month. I was playing a bunch. I was playing Shockspitter Hunter. I was playing Paladin. I was playing Curse Warlock. I was playing Imp Warlock. I was playing just about everything. Just kind of bouncing around between 3 and 4, 3 and 5, all the entire month. And then I picked up Rogue and went to Legend in a couple hours. And that was it. I just picked it up. I'm like, okay, this Rogue looks fun. Let's try it out. And I won because it's Rogue. It's good right now. So, and I was playing it probably pretty bad.
Oh, sorry.
So,
and if you have access to Discord and you have friends in the community or friends,
oh
whatever,
yeah,
co-op.
Oh yeah, I definitely recommend co-op. Co-op brings, especially if you're learning a deck. I mean, there was back in Ashes. It was me and Enthrallman in co-op constantly playing Ashes Warrior, that Enrage Warrior back in that deck, because especially when Demon Hunter was still pretty strong, was still strong the entire expansion, but it was me and Enthrall playing Ash's Warrior, and I knew that deck. I knew the matchups of the deck. I knew everything about that deck. That was my comfort zone. Like, that was one of the more difficult decks I've ever learned to play. But by the end of the meta, that was my comfort zone. Friday night, I'm on the couch. I'm on my iPad, play Hearthstone deck, because I knew the deck back and forth. I knew like every card in the deck. I knew what every card did. I knew every matchup, and that was my deck, and that was a lot of fun. That was probably one of the most fun metas I've had in a while since Stormwind.
Lorenda's been playing a lot of Miracle Rogue. He's been on every day playing Miracle Rogue, and I think it's interesting because we all know that this next patch, Miracle Rogue is going to get nerfed in some way, shape, or form. But what tends to happen when a nerf comes, a lot of people just stop playing the deck because it got nerfed. Doesn't mean it's bad. And if you have that knowledge of that deck already, and you just have to make a couple minor adjustments, you're probably still going to do well with that deck. So even if you're not sure, like, hey, this is the best deck, it's going to get nerfed, play it. Because Beast Hunter's still good. How many times did Beast Hunter get nerfed or whatever? Miracle Rogue just got nerfed last patch, right? They took out Draka and they took out the library. It's not the library, the graveyard. It's still good. It's still a good deck.
Yeah, Graveyard's still good.
You know,
heads up.
And Miracle Rogue is an archetype that has been around forever. So the reps that you get in, even if the deck's going to change, it's still good for you in the long run. The more you experience, the better. So, but I think I'm starting to get a little full. What do you guys think? Is it time to have some dessert?
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, Matt, if people want to, where can they find you?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter. That's where I live currently. It's at Mattatarms on Twitter. Mattatarms. There we go. I also live. Actually, no, I take that back. I'm on Twitter currently because Twitter's Twitter. We'll see how long that lasts. I'm on everything else as Mattatarms. If there is a Twitter diaspora at some point, you can probably find me on one of the other platforms as Mattatarms. But I really live in Discord. I'm a Discord junkie. I'm in all the good Hearthstone Discords, including the bread and butter Discord, and a few other Discords. So that's where I'm at. You can @ me if you want. Please don't.
Yeah, Matt said that once, and so I did. In every Discord I could find him. He was like, "What the hell's going on?"
Right? I'm like, okay, thanks, Tito. Yeah, I'm here too. Yeah, I don't check this. I have this Discord muted, but you just ping me in it. Thanks.
Good times. How about yourself, Doc? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Doc McButt. And Doc McButt, basically any other social media platform as well. So if Twitter implodes at some point, just like with Matt, you can find me by just searching my name. You know me by. And how about yourself, Tito?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. Twitch, yes. That sounds so weird. Tito Santana HS. You can especially find me there on January 22nd at 9 p.m. That's a Sunday where Wicked Good and Sidisi will be going head-to-head like we mentioned before. Myself and Dragon Rider will be casting that. It's going to be a good time. There's going to be giveaways, so you're not going to want to miss it. And, Doc, you have anyone you want to shout out tonight?
Matt, thank you so much for being willing to come onto the show. It's been fun, like, hanging out with you and stuff, like talking in Discord, how we usually do, but like you're kind of a more established presence than Tito and I are in the community. So it always feels nice when someone who is a bit bigger in the space decides to chum it out with us down at the bottom of the pond,
I mean, to be fair, though, Doc, we can invite anybody on, and we would achieve that.
And I'm the guy this week who said yes. No. I really appreciate that. Like, it feels weird being like, oh, like, especially when I get it on ladder. It's like, hey, are you the Mattatarms? I'm like, yes. What did I do? Oh, you like my stuff? Oh, thank you. Or like the guy that added me last week, who's like, sorry to BM, but I was on the treadmill, and I'm like, you know, good for you, good job for you being on the treadmill. Raise that heart rate, keep it up. Good job, good job, bud. It's fun stuff like that. I always add anybody who sends me a friend request on game because honestly, it sounds bad, but it's content. I need salt for the week, and if I can get ladder salt, I'll grab ladder salt. But most of the time, it's been nice, good people. So add people more often because sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's salt, but we'll see.
I try to always add if I have a really good game against somebody, if they don't BM me at the end, like if we have a really good match and they're not like, a jerk on the last turn when they have lethal, if I lose or if I win, I will add them after a really epic game and try to break the mold of the negativity and be like,
right.
Wow, that was such an awesome game. I thought I had you, and then you pulled out that blah blah blah, and it was crazy, and because they're waiting for the salt, and I try to go the opposite direction because I'm not. If I lose a game, I'm not salty unless it was a quest mage that happened to have no cards in hand. I had almost full health, a board full of things, and they still managed to kill me that turn. But if it's not something like that, I'm usually pretty good. And, I'm here to play Hearthstone, and games are fun. And if you can get, a good friend because you had a good game, I think that's great.
Oh, that's why, shout out to Marvel Snap there, because the fist bump emoji is possibly the greatest emoji in card games. Because, if you have a good game, you can just send them a fist bump, and it usually feels pretty good after that.
I think it's the second best. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think the Spider-Man pointing when you both play Sunspot is the best.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. I get that. Well, then again, my little tag on Snap. That's the game we're talking about. My little tag underneath my name says "Do not emote," which has the exact opposite effect of saying the tag, which is exactly as I wanted it to happen because I love the emotes in that game. So
nice.
Yeah.
And mine is as performed by Dazzler. What's your title there, Doc?
I don't have one because I don't play Snap anymore.
Oh, that's fine. It's
just the collection and not having a lot of control over what cards you get is what turned me off of Snap. And I know that they fixed it a little bit, but
no, they haven't fixed it at all.
If there's a card I need that's still at the end of Pool 2 when I'm at the beginning of Pool 2, I'm not playing the game. It's just not fun when I can't have the toys I want to play with, no matter what, if I just have to have it based on luck.
Pool 2 is not bad.
So
Pool 2 is not, Pool 3 is when you're like, okay, I'm playing decks that are missing key pieces and you feel bad about yourself.
I think the only deck I remember having is I had the Blue Marvel Onslaught back when that location was buffed, and then I had On Reveal Odin.
So that's a fun deck.
It was a lot of fun, but it can't win in Pool 2.
Just play Moon Girl Devil Dino.
Me.
That's all you need to play is Moon Girl Devil Dino. Honestly. And I think that's both of those are Pool 2 cards. I'm not sure.
Okay. I'll reinstall Snap and see if I can do that.
And this week, I would like to thank Dragon Rider and Just a Guy and Storm Rage, who helped with the project that we talked about before. If you haven't watched it, even if you don't care about the event, please go watch the video. It's on my Twitter. Storm Rage does a fantastic job as a announcer from a boxing match, calling out the match before with Anduin and Rexar, here in this corner, and it came out really good. And Jessica did the editing, and Dawn's just been an absolute pleasure to work with. And if you watch the show match, she did the production. She took all that on, and a couple minor hiccups aside, which was the entire point, was to find the hiccups. It was fantastic, and I cannot wait to do the next thing with her. So, Matt, did you already shout people out?
I don't think I have. I'm going to shout out to you guys for having me on. Thanks for having me on. It's good, good to, be on yet another Hearthstone podcast. Shout out to Dano, Enthralamond, Magooch, Nathan, and now Stormrage. Just kind of being the group and being what is Squelch. It's a lot of fun. And shout out to anybody listening and everybody who decided to download, because your support makes these podcasts happen, and being part of the community is important, and the community's better with you. So yeah, shout out to y'all, everyone listening. So
was it weird for you to talk about Hearthstone on a podcast again?
I mean, this
actually talk about Hearthstone?
I mean, kind of. I mean, if it was my if I was the host of Squelch, I would probably talk more about Hearthstone. But I'm just the guy who knows all the cards and everything else, and is the second or third best player on the show. So on Squelch,
we'll let you guys.
No,
we'll let everyone in the audience figure out who's who.
No, number one is Enthralamond. Enthralamond is just ridiculous at card games. He's really good at card games, and then it's either me or whoever hits Legend first of the month is between me and Stormrage. So there we go.
Poor Dano.
Or Dano, yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you again for stopping by. I think we're toast.
Slide two brothers meet one another when they slide up to the mic. It's bread and butter with one another. Let's start up that recording light.